All right, how long should long runs be, and should we be capping them? I've heard so many very intelligent coaches on the internet say that we should be capping our long runs at 3.5 to 4 hours. I've even said publicly that I think that we should be capping long runs at 3.5 to 4 hours, but yet I contradict myself by going on longer runs than 3.5 to 4 hours, which brings up a ton of questions in the Discord and from the athletes I coach. Like, how can you say I should be capping my long runs at 3.5 to 4 hours, but yet still myself going out for 5 or 6 hours sometimes? And I think first, anything you hear on the internet needs to be taken with a very broad stroke, meaning it's being applied to the masses. And I think the masses are really training for these shorter distance races. And even if you are training for volume of time over mileage, really at the end of the day, what a coach is going to really be working with is stress and intensity. How much stress is your body handling? So if we think about when I say something, or when you hear a coach say something like you should be capping your long runs at 3.5 to 4 hours, that's the coach really saying that in a certain amount of time, I'm going to try and give you an amount of stress. And generally, the peak of that stress is going to be in the 3.5 to 4 hour range. And then after that, we're really just going to be doing harm to our body as opposed to good. And to keep this short and sweet, I will give you a very, very easy example. If you are training for a marathon, I am going to tell you that you should not be running more than 4 hours, because when you are running on the road at marathon pace, or even like a little flowy hills, not a ton of vert, that is going to put a certain amount of stress on your body. But if you're training something like an ultramarathon, 50K, 50 miles, 100K, there is a difference between going on a 3.5 to 4 hour run and going out and getting time on feet and getting vert and doing some power hiking and just spending a day on the trails. When I exceed 4 hours, I am not running during that entire duration. Like I said, I am in the hills, on the trails, going very slow. I'm doing walk, run, intervals, and things like that. But in no way, shape, or form am I ever running for more than 4 hours straight. Because I do believe at that 3.5 to 4 hours, you will start to feel diminished returns on that investment. But with that said, you need to go 4 hours plus if you were training for these really big ultra marathons to figure out things like nutrition over long term, or what types of shoes you like, or what type of gear you're gonna wear. Sometimes you need that time to train those things, and you're just not gonna get them in 3.5 to 4 hours. So if you take a coach that's talking to the internet, they know that they are talking to a large majority, and that large majority is people probably marathon distance or under. And if you are training for a marathon distance or under, I can't see any circumstance in which you should be running for more than 3.5 to 4 hours in a long run. But if you are training for an ultra marathon, or you're training for a 100 miler, you will probably be asked by your coach to go more than 4 hours. But now you take note, that workout will not be 4 hours steady state, or it'll not be 6 hours of tempo blocks, or it'll not be 6 hours of marathon. It's mostly gonna be a time on feet day. They're probably gonna say, get out there and get a ton of vert, right? Let's go on a big vert day or a through hike or things like that. And their primary mission there is going to be to work on nutrition and, like I said, muscular endurance for time on feet. At the end of the day, it all comes down to stress on the body and how the intensity of your workout is going to affect things. So if you are running for 3.5 to 4 hours, that is probably gonna be an equal amount of stress as going out and getting a full day, 6 to 10 hours of through hiking, being on the trails, and just getting time on feet. If you have any questions about that, leave them down in the comments below. I'll also leave a link to my free Discord channel if you wanna jump in there and talk ultramarathon with us. I'll catch you guys tomorrow.